everyone, Intuitive Edge here. So today I would like to do something that I've been wanting to do for a while, and that is to take a look at the United States Supreme Court and take a look at it in terms of looking at the tarot and seeing what the tarot cards might have to say about either the length of stay within the court or their service going forward. We're just going to take a look at the 9 justices. Now this was kind of tricky. I had to sit down for a little bit and think out the questions that I want to ask. The main thing that I'm curious about, of course, what most people I think are wondering is how long are they going to stay? Is there going to be more turnover? There was some of you might be familiar with Mark Taylor. He claims to be a prophet of God. He was saying that Donald Trump is going to get between 3 and 5 Supreme Court justices. Now, I can't vouch for that. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's interesting, and I'm just curious if there is going to be more turnover on the court or not, or who might be retiring or whatnot, or if who knows? These 9 may stay for a long time. So I just want to take a look at and see kind of what the energy is. When I was going through the question period, figuring out how I wanted to ask the question, basically I want to look at the energy of these justices with the court. So in other words, what I mean by that is, if these people were not in alignment with the energy of the Supreme Court, they would not be on the court. You have to be aligned with the energy of the court to be on the court. Same with a job, same with a marriage. You have to be in alignment with the other person or you wouldn't be married to them, or your energy has to blend with where you're working or you wouldn't work there. So there has to be some type of energy with the court or these people would not be there. So I'm curious what that level of alignment is. Do their energies align strongly? Is it a good alignment? Are they, are these people are going to stay a while? Or, and then I'm going to look at the length of service going forward from this day forward. Now, some of these, I think Clarence Thomas has been here the longest. And so I'm not going to look at the past. We're going to look at today going forward. What is the energy moving forward? So for instance, Mr. Alito, is he moving with the court? Is he still aligned with the court? That means if the energies match, that means that he'll be staying on the court. So that's kind of how I'm going to approach this and how I'm going to look at it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull 2 cards for each, and I'm going to hopefully make this not too terribly long of a video. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and we'll shuffle up the cards and we'll see how this goes. Okay, so I shuffled up the cards. We're going to look at Brett Kavanaugh first, because we're going to go from most recent to the longest sitting justice on the Supreme Court. So we're starting off with Brett Kavanaugh, since he is the most recent. And we're going to look at his alignment with the court. Now, this is whether his energy is aligned to stay on the court, and how strong that alignment is. 3 of Wands, this actually is a really positive card. This is a card about having a vision for the future and looking forward. It's a card about having long-range goals. So I would be inclined to think that perhaps this indicates that he has long-term goals to remain on the court. That is probably... Now it's crossed by the 4 of Pentacles, which is a card of, it can be like territorial or holding on to something. Now this is, it's not reversed. It's reversed according to how it faces the camera, but it's not a reversal. So as an upright, this has a positive connotation of holding on to something that is either deserved or feeling responsible to keep something that has been given to you. So to me, this feels pretty positive for him, that he is in alignment. So this is length of service going forward. We could look at it in terms of the 4. It's holding on to something, hanging on, but it's also as an upright. I don't see anything like, like he's gonna be forced out or resign or anything like that in the near future. I think he's pretty solidly on the court. I know some people are, there was a lot of scuttle last year. But I think that he's in there for the long term. Okay, we're going to go to the next person. Next, we have Neil Gorsuch. I did shuffle up the cards again, so we'll cut the deck. We're looking at alignment with the court and length of service going forward. So we have the 7 of Pentacles. This is a card of kind of a review. It's looking back over what you've worked on and what you've worked for. Kind of it's kind of not a life review, but it's looking back in terms of what your values are in what you want to do moving forward. Now we have the 9 of Cups, and that's actually a positive card too. It's like having your wishes be granted. Both of those cards are reversed, so I don't know if that has any bearing or not, whether that means that there's any changes on the horizon for Mr. Gorsuch, but the card of looking and doing a lot of reflection on your values and what you're looking for, and then having basically your wishes be granted. I don't sense it's like he's going to be leaving or anything like that anytime soon. Because the 9 of Cups, even as a reversal, still has very much of a positive tone to it. It could just mean like maybe a realignment with your philosophy. So he may be maybe he's rethinking some parts of himself in terms of who he is, maybe some of his fundamental beliefs, or maybe he's reviewing those. But I think he's a pretty solid person as far as the court is concerned. Okay, we're going to go on to the next person. Okay, next is Elena Kagan. I shuffled up the cards. We'll cut the deck again. Now, her alignment with the court, she has the King of Swords. Very strong alignment. She looks like this is where she feels like she needs to be, and that energy of the king is a very strong energy, very authoritative, but not in a bad way, in a good way. She's very much in alignment. Now she's got the Devil card on top of that. That's interesting. It would be crossed, or the length of service going forward. What's interesting about the Pan in this deck is like the trickster. Kind of, could be a little something. I wonder what that's about. Well, either way you look at it, the Pan card is can also be a card similar to the 4 of Pentacles in that it's like holding on, materially minded, kind of being rooted in holding on to something that that you feel is yours. The thing with the Pan card is it's almost like it can be like being in bondage to something, or holding on to something that has a hold of you, kind of thing. So that's interesting. On top of that, King of Swords tells me that she's very much in alignment with her energy with the court. That's where she is. That's where she's supposed to be, I think. And with the Pan, that's a little tricky with the Devil card on top. And this is the question of her moving forward, length of service, time going forward. They're both upright, so I think that she'll probably be around a while on the court. Just interesting that she has that energy of that holding on, almost something that has you as much as you have it. Kind of interesting. Okay, let's go to the next one. All right, so Sonia Sotomayor. cut the deck here. So, her alignment with the Supreme Court. Now, she has a reverse 7, much like Neil Gorsuch did. He had a reversed 7, I believe, 7 of Pentacles. This is the 7 of Wands. This is the card of getting the upper hand on something. But it still feels like a struggle. It feels like a struggle wanting to remain or stay in the upper hand. So I don't know what that struggle energy is with her. If there's some type of something that she's struggling with being on the court, whether she is fully in alignment with the court. This feels there's an element of struggle that comes with this card. Plus it's reversed, so I think that accentuates this feeling or this need to feel like you're on the bottom and you have to either prove yourself or you have to get the upper hand and you're having a struggle trying to stay I don't want to say relevant. That's not. It's like a struggle to maintain your place or your position, or wanting to advance your position and feeling that some sort of tension or struggle with that. Let's see, length of service going forward. Now we have the Queen of Cups. This is on the reversal. That's actually a positive. It's a strong card, Queen of Cups. A lot of thought, a lot of feeling going into that. Feeling like, I think this is like wanting to assert the struggle card, like wanting to assert yourself or feeling wanting to come into fruition of where you feel like you're supposed to be. And this card is actually a reversal. And with the Queen, I feel like she's not, she doesn't feel like she's fully recognized, or she wants to have more of an influence or more of a role. So I don't know if she's looking to I don't know how the Chief Justice works. Forgive me, I don't know if how they do that. If that's her aim or her aspiration, but it feels like there's something that she's wanting to do that is more than she's being recognized for. So, but as far as staying on the court, it does feel like she has goals, but that alignment is a little, I'm not sure why that alignment feels like it's a struggle. Okay, next. Okay, so the next is Samuel Alito Jr. We'll cut the deck on this one, and his alignment with the court. Now, Ace of Cups, a very positive card. This is very much aligned with the court. I think he's where he needs to be as well. This is just a very endearing card. Ace of Cups, new beginnings. It's just a positive card all the way around. Now, length of service going forward. Now, that's interesting. He's got the Death card. Now, for those not familiar with the tarot, death does not necessarily mean literal death, so don't panic. The Death card simply means transformation, change. It can mean just a change or a new direction. So now it's possible. Now with the Ace of Cups underneath, this strong energy of emotional connection and alignment with the energy of the court. Going forward, we have this change card. So, I don't know. I don't know how old this gentleman is. Let me see if that back card doesn't have a birth date. Okay, so I don't know how old this gentleman is. So I don't know if he's thinking, maybe down the road, maybe about retiring perhaps down the road, or changes in that regard. But his heart is definitely with the court. I don't see there's no struggle as in the last justice I looked at. But so the energy is there in alignment, but there may be he may be looking at maybe, I don't know when he is set to retire or when he's thinking about retiring. I mean, I don't know if this transformation means retirement. It could mean something else. But that's just what I would say with the death card is some type of change ahead for him. So whether that means he stays with the court or changes and moves on to something, but there's some type of change associated with the death card. So, all right, we'll look at who's next. Okay, next is John G. Roberts Jr. We'll cut the deck and take a look at the alignment of this justice with the court. Now, this is a very strong card of success. It's kind of like reaching the pinnacle. Now, he's got the World card. World is all about being at the pinnacle, being at the top. So, energy is very strongly aligned with the court. Now, we have the Eight of Cups, which is a card of moving on from something. So we're crossed with this Eight of Cups, which is moving on from something. This is length of service going forward. And we have this is kind of a sad moving on. So I don't know if he's thinking of retiring as well, or if he might be moving on to something else. But with this energy of moving on from something, and the World card underneath, this is like reaching the pinnacle. So maybe he's reached the top and feels maybe it's time to retire. I don't know. I'm not, I don't read minds, but this is just from what the cards indicate with being on top, being at the pinnacle of success, and then moving on. Makes me think that maybe he's perhaps going to be leaving the court or moving on or retiring. It's possible. I don't know that for sure, but that's kind of what the cards indicate. So we'll see what's in store for Mr. Roberts. If he, I think he's still fairly young. He could probably stay on, but this is kind of a card of moving on. So we'll see. All right. Okay, next is Stephen Breyer. So let's take a look at alignment of this justice with the court's energy. Now, interesting, we would have a burden card, like carrying a burden, a heavy burden. However, it's reversed, which means to me something about a burden being lifted off of somebody. So either carrying a burden and having it being released, it's like a feel of relief or release. And that's the question of his alignment with the court. Perhaps I'm thinking this role may have been very demanding, it feels like, maybe very taxing emotionally, mentally. I'm sure it is, obviously, but I'm sure it is for all of the justices. It's the very demanding and very taxing position to be in. But this feels like a burden being lifted or released. Okay, so the Judgment card, this is a card also about release, letting go. So I'm wondering, again, I don't know if any of these folks are contemplating retiring or leaving the court, but when you have this burden being lifted and then you have the Judgment being released from something, and the imagery of this Judgment card, if you can see it, I'll draw it up a little closer here. It's just being released. Like, this is like looking up to the heavens. It's a feeling of being released from bondage, just being released. So I would venture a guess that this might mean perhaps he's maybe thinking of retiring or releasing himself from this demanding position being on the court. I don't know. I'm not. That's just my best guess based on what the cards are indicating. With that release, kind of a double release. So something about being released or releasing. Now, and this card, this one is alignment with the court. This one is length of service going forward. And to me, with the Judgment card kind of facing I don't know, it's facing backward, and um, I'm thinking he, maybe a possible retirement for him. I'm not sure, but I don't see like a long going forward with this card. That's just my take on it. But we shall see. Let's take a look at the next. Okay, next we have Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I shuffled up the cards. So we're going to look at the alignment of this justice with the Supreme Court. Now, interesting, we would have this Eight of Cups come up again. This is a card of moving on from something. Indicates a sad moving on, like having to let go of something that is sad for you. And I know that she has had some health problems in the last couple of months. And some people there's been actually a lot of speculation as to whether she would retire. And I think there was an announcement that she would be leaving the court sometime in this month, maybe. I haven't kept up on that exactly to know when, but that's the last I heard is that. So, and this card indicates that. This is a card of moving on from something, having to let something go, kind of a sad, emotionally sad. Okay. Now, it's crossed by, this is actually the length of service going forward. And this is a struggle card. This is a card of having to, this is like accepting the end of something and having to move on. So I do see that she's probably going to be moving on. But it's going to be hard for her emotionally. It's not something I think, especially when you're having health issues and you have to kind of retire. But whatever her personal situation, these cards do seem to reflect what has been talked about in the news that I've heard that she might be retiring. So anyway, that does seem to indicate that. All right, so we'll come to the last but not least. Okay, so last but not least, we have Clarence Thomas, Justice Clarence Thomas. We're going to cut the deck. So the first card is his alignment with the court. And we have a Knight of Swords. This is a messenger card. And this card indicates letting us know that there's a message coming about Mr. Thomas. The Knight of Swords is a very strong energy of being aggressively aligned with something. When it's reversed, it can mean a lessening of that like just that aggressive energy of moving forward, moving with something. It could be a lessening of that energy, but possibly look for some type of announcement from him, maybe. Just guessing with the nature of the messenger card. Now we have the Two of Wands. This is length of service going forward. Now, this is a card of also looking out at the future, seeing, aligning your vision with where you want to be. It's like having a long range goal, or looking forward, and having this card in this position to me is like, to me it's long range. It's thinking down the road. So and I don't know if this card necessarily underneath means possible an announcement, but it just means there's something more that we might learn in the near future regarding future outlook. So I'm thinking that perhaps the Knight energy that we had, that messenger card with Justice Thomas, and then the Two of Wands, that future, I think perhaps maybe a couple more years, and then we may see an announcement from him, perhaps, that he may want to retire, maybe. The Knight did feel like there was an alignment there with that Knight card. But the messenger card means that there's something you don't see yet that's going to be coming into the picture that's going to help. So I'm wondering if maybe there's an announcement or something from him. But I don't think it's like a bad thing. It's just maybe down the road I think we may see some change for him. Possible. But I don't see him leaving like anytime soon. I saw that more for Ruth Bader obviously, and the one for Justice Breyer kind of surprised me a little bit, because it just that release energy was real strong on both cards. So anyway, that's all I have for these. I wish all of these justices well. We're just kind of wanting to see what might be in store down the road for them. So, okay, that's all I have. Hope you like it. If you do, leave a like, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone. Hope you're having a good week. Bye-bye.